Welcome to GDs, and this is Jack Ryan, Season 2. Season starts with James Greer trying to convert a Russian asset and investigating the launch of an unauthorized satellite from South China Sea, as he believes that Russia was behind it. James, returning from the meeting, suddenly collapses, and we learn that he has developed a heart condition, rendering him unfit for the field. While back in the US, Jack Ryan is helping out his friend, Senator Jim Moreno, to keep an eye on the situation in Venezuela, as it is becoming more and more unstable. They were able to find a ship with links to Russian supply of weapons to Syria, delivering cargo deep in the jungles of Venezuela. Jim and Jack share the information with the chairman, but he is not convinced and wants them to investigate further and asks them to visit Venezuela to inquire about it with their president, Nicolas Reyes. Jack is not thrilled by this, as he thinks that the President Reyes is the one behind the operation. Nevertheless, he goes with Jim to Venezuela. On the other hand, James, finding out that Russia had no hand in the launch of the satellite, and fearful for being sidelined because of his health condition, asks to be transferred to Venezuela to investigate the case further. He also requests the station chief not to disclose his health condition for now. While in Venezuela, Jack and Jim visit President Reyes and inform him about the shipment. He denies having any knowledge for the same, and assures them that he will look into it. James catches up with Jack in Venezuela, but they are unable to find a connection between the launch of the satellite and supply of cargo in Venezuela, despite both of them being transported from the same ship. Jack is also befriended by a woman at the bar, and they end up spending the night together. But before leaving, she goes through Jack's files as he slept. Getting no answers from the president, they decide to head back the next day. On their way, Jack and Jim's convoy is attacked. Though Jack survives, but Jim is assassinated in front of him. Jack, losing his friend, is devastated. He is convinced that it was President Reyes who was behind the attack. Jack is able to convince Senator Chapin to allow him to stay in Venezuela to investigate. James lets him know that something big is going down in Venezuela, and they both agree to work together. Jack, following up on the ship, goes to the port to investigate, but he is nearly caught. It is when Harry, the woman he slept with, helps him get away. Jack finds out that she used to be a former BND spy and is looking for someone, and she thinks the person she is looking for might be connected to Reyes, and thus wants to help Jack. She shares with him a recording of Miguel Uberry, the chief advisor and childhood friend of President Reyes, where he is sharing concerns with his wife about the president. We also see Venezuelan soldiers going after a group of rebels, as they capture a few of them alive, while killing the rest. And the captured rebels are made to sign a confession. Jack and James, along with Mike, CIA station chief in Venezuela, use the recording to draw a wedge between the president and Miguel by playing the tape to one of president's most trusted generals. While President Reyes calls the US ambassador, along with James and Jack, and shares with them the confession of the rebel group, whom his army took down for killing a US senator. But Jack is not convinced, and before they leave, he lets President Reyes know that he knows it was him who ordered Jim to be killed, and he will prove it. As Jack returns to his hotel, he is attacked. He barely survives, as James came to his aid, but the assassin was able to get away. Jack was now able to figure out that the assassin is the one who Harry is looking for, and as he confronts her, she lets him know that he is also a former BND spy and her mentor. And after he was let go from the agency, he became an assassin for hire, and she came to Venezuela to find him. Meanwhile, the plan of Jack to create mistrust between President Reyes and his advisor Miguel seems to have worked, as he grows suspicious of him. In addition, President Reyes also learns that in the upcoming elections, his opponent, Gloria Bonald, might have a chance. On the other hand, James got a small black ops team to help them go upriver to investigate what was being smuggled. They are able to locate the containers, and Jack is able to take pictures of the cargo. The camp was being guarded by a private militia. Though they are able to make out of the camp, but as they were being chased, one of their men is left behind. The team drops Jack and James downstream, and the rest of them head back to get their teammate back. Having the photos, Jack was able to deduce that the cargo being smuggled are not weapons, but are very expensive mining equipments. And the fuel that they will use is the same fuel that was used in the bomb to attack Senator Jim. In addition, he also learns that the militia guarding the equipment are a South African mercenaries hired by a firm based in London. But with the fiasco of them being discovered in the jungle, Jack is forced to return back. But Jack, using his connection with Senator Chapin, was able to convince him to arrange for his transport to London so that he can investigate further. While President Reyes, knowing the presence of American soldiers in the jungle, tasks his general to hunt them in the jungle. He is also a bit worried about his opponent gaining ground in the election. And thus, he cautions her and asks her to join him, but she refuses. Meanwhile, James figures out that the husband of Gloria Bonald was a minister in President Reyes's government. And he disappeared a year back. James feels that it might have something to do with the attack on the senator, and thus he visits Gloria. Gloria shows him to her husband's office, and hands him over a rock, and informs him that it was the last thing her husband was working on before he disappeared. James, knowing the threat and pressure in which Gloria was, offers to train his security team for better protection. In London, Jack is confronted by Harry, and she lets him know that he is being hunted by Max, the assassin he is looking for, and he is also in London. But Jack refuses to leave. He instead asks Harry to help him look into the company that hired the militia in Venezuela. Harry, using her connection in MI5, is able to arrange for a meeting with the CEO of the company. And under pressure, he reveals that they were hired by a shell company in Venezuela to provide security, and he doesn't know who is behind it. He also confirms that Max is someone they have worked with before, but he only acts as a broker between the parties, and has no knowledge about anything. They were able to force him to set up a meeting with Max, but things didn't go as planned, as Max was able to figure out that it was a trap, and he executes the CEO before escaping. Jack was able to figure out that the satellite launched from South China Sea is using advanced technology to look for mining locations. He also breaks into the CEO's system, and with some help, was able to access his accounts, and is able to connect a shell company in Venezuela, who is bankrolling the operations. While Max, now knowing who tried to set him up, warns Harry, and lets her know that she should leave. Harry, knowing that Max will not stop until he kills Jack, informs Jack about Max's weakness, that is, his daughter. Jack goes to Max's daughter to use her as leverage. Jack is able to lure Max out. Max lets him know that the order to execute Senator Jim never came from President Reyes, and before Max could kill Jack, it was Harry who shoots and kills him. Meanwhile, in Venezuela, James is able to figure out that the mineral he was given by Gloria is a very rare mineral, and has a market of trillions of dollars. While Mike, working in the background, is able to convince Miguel to turn on the president. And in the jungle, Marcus stumbles across a prisoner camp, while the rest of the team is looking for him. Jack returns to Venezuela to investigate the shell company. He is picked up by James, and as they wait at the shell company's office, they are picked by Venezuelan army. They take them to meet with President Reyes, and he is not happy with them still investigating. At the same time, Marcus reunites with the team, but they are being followed by the Venezuelan army. Mattis, in order to give his men time to escape, leads the Venezuelan army away, but before his team could come to his rescue, he is killed. On the other hand, as Jack and James return to the embassy, President Reyes, using James' image with Gloria Bonald, and a dead American soldier in the jungles, informs the people that the Americans were trying to steal the election, and thus, he has asked the Americans to leave his country. As the US embassy is being evacuated, Jack, James, and Mike decide to stay back. Jack, knowing James not to be well, planned for him to be taken to the airport. But they were betrayed, and James was handed over to the Venezuelan army, while Jack and Mike narrowly escaped. James is taken to the prison camp in the jungle. There, he meets with other prisoners, and finds out that all of them are political prisoners, and it includes everyone who spoke against President Reyes, be it artists, journalists, or musicians. In the prison camp, he also meets with the husband of Gloria Bonald, who disappeared a year back. President Reyes, in order to capture the negative sentiment of his people against America, and Gloria Bonald, announces an early voting. And also restricts Gloria Bonald from campaigning further. Miguel, seeing this use of force, tries to warn President Reyes about his ways, but President Reyes, not trusting him, ends up killing him. Mike and Jack were able to figure out where James might have been imprisoned, and they join up with the remaining members of their team to mount a rescue operation. And with Mike having bags full of cash, they hire the South African mercenaries to help them out in the rescue mission. They attack the prison camp in the jungle and are able to stop the mass execution of the prisoners and free all of them. But they learn that James was not there, and he was moved to the presidential palace. Jack records the prison camp video, along with all the prisoners who were still alive, to expose the brutal dictatorship of President Reyes. While Mike was able to get the documents of the companies who were involved in all the activities, and one of them had President Reyes' signatures on them, proving him to be behind the Venezuelan shell company. Meanwhile, the video which Jack shared seemed to have worked, as after seeing the video, the people of Venezuela revolted against the regime of President Reyes. The more he tried to suppress them, the more outraged the people became, and they attacked the presidential palace. Jack, along with the team, goes to the presidential palace, and they are able to get James out. Mike stops Jack from executing President Reyes, letting him know that they have all the proofs against him, and they cannot execute a foreign leader. As they leave, we see the presidential palace falling to the people of Venezuela. And later, the election commission declares Gloria Bonald as the winner and the new president of Venezuela. President Gloria is finally reunited with her husband. As Jack returns back, he informs Senator Chapin about all that went down. In addition, he was also able to figure out that the second company, who was on all the documents, and who made the payments before Senator Jim was assassinated, was run by Senator Chapin. And as the season ends, we see Jack walking away, as Senator Chapin is arrested. Thanks for watching. And if you liked it, please subscribe.